Your current business model is officially a relic of the past, and if you're still treating AI as just a side tool, you've already lost. We have entered the agentic era where manual workflows and expensive agencies are being replaced by high performance logic. It is time to rebuild. So that's what this video is about, the agentic era, what it is, why it matters right now, and what it actually looks like to rebuild your business around it. The conversation most people are having about AI right now is still the wrong one. It's all about tools. We use AIs for email. We use a chatbot. That's a common belief we're seeing right now. AI is something that you have to add on top of what you already have. Well, I've been inside enough high revenue businesses to tell you that the framing is already costing people. The businesses that are treating AI like a side tool, they're running a completely different race than the ones that are rebuilding some of their foundation around agent. And most of them don't even know it yet. Two things we're covering today: why the way businesses are built right now is now the thing slowing them down, and what rebuilding actually looks like. The bottleneck it isn't what most people think. When business owners try to figure out why they're not scaling, they go to the usual places. Not enough leads, team isn't performing, margins are tight, and those are real problems, don't get me wrong. But the deeper problem that I keep running into, the one that doesn't get talked about clearly, it's simpler than all of them. Every step in their business requires the human to be awake, paying attention, and making a call before anything else moves forward. Think about what that looks like in a real business. A lead comes in, someone has to see it, call it, follow up to them, right? A job hits a milestone, someone has to check, update the CRM, tell the next person. Say a customer goes quiet for 2 months, someone has to notice and decide what to do about it. None of those are hard decisions, but every single one, it needs a human in the room for it to happen. And once your business gets big enough, well, that becomes a wall. There's only so much a human dependent process can handle before it breaks down entirely. Most businesses are already hitting that wall and calling it something else. This isn't the automation you already know. Most people have seen basic automation before, and if this happens, do that, right? A form gets filled out, a task gets created, a payment comes in, and email goes out. That stuff has existed for years, and it's fine, it works, but it's not what we're talking about. What's different now is that AI agents can actually reason. They don't just react to a trigger, they look at a situation, think through it, make a judgment call, and take multiple steps all on their own. Here's a real example of the difference, right? Basic automation, you can send a follow-up email when a lead goes cold. An AI agent looks at the lead's history, compares it to the other leads that converted, decides what the right message is, writes it, sends it, and updates the CRM. Then it only flags the ones that actually need a human because the situation is genuinely complicated. That's not a better version of automation. That's a different thing entirely. And this isn't about getting ahead, it's about surviving. Most of the AI talk right now is framed as a competitive advantage. Get ahead of your competitors, move faster. That makes it sound optional, something aggressive businesses do while everyone else is just going to catch up later. But that's not the right frame anymore. Businesses that build real agentic capacity, where the system handles a big chunk of day-to-day decisions without a human in the loop, are going to run at a cost and a speed that human dependent businesses simply cannot match. Not close. Cannot match it. That's just not an edge. It's now a survival line. And the window to rebuild before that pressure becomes unavoidable, that's right now. Find the real bottlenecks first. Before you build anything, you need to take an honest look at where the humans are actually needed in your business versus where they're just there because that's how it's always been done. And what I see every time is that most manual steps in a business fall into one of two groups: genuinely complex, which takes real time, real judgment, and real experience to get right, or just habit that nobody ever stopped to ask if it needed to be done that way. The second group is way bigger than most business owners realize until they actually sit down and break it down, write it out. So, what do you look for as a business owner, right? Decisions that happen the same way almost every time. Work that just sits there waiting for someone to say yes or forward it. Information that gets copied from one system to another by hand. And the biggest one, things that work fine when the team handles maybe 10 of them a day, but then fall apart at 50. Those are the spots. That's where you start. That's where replacing the human step with an agent is both easy to do and immediately worth a lot. Flip how you build the new things. The bigger change, more important long term than any single automation, is changing how processes get designed. The new one, how the new processes get designed, is crucial. AI first means when something new is getting built in your business, the first question isn't who handles this and then can we automate some of it. The first question is, how does an agent handle this at all? And then the humans, they get added back in at the specific points where they actually need to be there, where it's actually going to move the needle. I know that flip sounds small, but Believe me, it's not. When you design for people first and automate later, you inherit all the mess that was already baked in. Extra handoffs, approval steps that made sense for a person, but slow everything down for a system. Information that was formatted the way a human reads it instead of the way a system would better process it, right? Design for the agent first, and then you end up building something cleaner overall. Human involvement is on purpose, not by default. The businesses I've seen that have built this from the ground up are in a completely different league from the ones that got automated piece by piece after the fact. Same end result on paper, completely different underneath. And that shows up in how reliable it is, how fast you can change things, and how it holds up when volume goes up. Your agents are only as good as the data they're working with. Last piece, and this is the one that gets skipped more than it should. An agent makes decisions based on the information that it has in the moment. One of the most common ways I see agentic systems fail is when the reasoning is solid, but the data is stale. The CRM hasn't been updated in 2 weeks, the lead info is old, availability or pricing has changed. The fix is straightforward, but it has to be a part of the design from day one. Live data flowing directly into your agent, not a nightly sync, real time. When the agent looks at a situation, it's seeing what's actually true right now, not a snapshot from last week, right? Get this right, and you have agents that are making calls that you can actually trust. If you skip it and your team just starts overriding the system constantly because the outputs keep getting wrong, well, now you've just built something expensive that nobody even wants to use in the. So that's the picture. The way most businesses are built, where a human has to touch every step before anything moves at all, that's the ceiling now and not the floor. The reasoning ability that used to justify keeping people in the loop on every decision is no longer something people can do. Part one, right? The legacy workflow is the bottleneck. Agents are a different category than automation, and this is survival line now, not something nice to have. Part two, you got to audit where the real bottlenecks are in your business, flip the design so that agents come first, and then the humans can only deal with the stuff that is going to really move the needle. Don't forget that the data that you're feeding those AI agents should be live. The businesses that win in the era we're walking into aren't going to be the ones with the best team doing the most work by hand. They're going to be the ones that have built the best logic from the ground up. If any of this resonated with you, leave a like, comment, subscribe below. Comment, I'm generally curious, what are you trying to automate in your business? There's so much that can be done, but what are you working on right now for your business? This has been Nolan, guys. I hope you found some value in this. And yeah, I'll talk to you later. Do all the YouTube stuff. See you in the next video. Peace.